Hi everyone, welcome to After Class.
A podcast by two passionate adult ballerinas about all things adult ballet related.
And some random thoughts in between.
We're so glad you're here.
So grab your water bottle
or a cup of coffee
and join us for a quick chat after class.
Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of After Class. And today is a very special episode because today is the 1-year anniversary of the podcast. And it's crazy it's been a year because I remember we talked about doing the podcast for probably a few months before we actually pulled the trigger on doing it.
I remember, it's true. We talked about it so much. Every time we finish a ballet class where we talk for 45 minutes and we will say, every class for months, we will be like, should we just record these and make a podcast? We just talk about topics that are very interesting to us. Will someone else be interested? And finally, we took the chance and we're like, yes, let's do it. And we did it. Oh my God, a year.
Yeah, it's crazy because I think when I think about the podcast and just the journey of doing it, it reminds me in thinking about future things I want to do. Don't overcomplicate things. There's something that you want to do or an idea that you have, just take the jump and do it. Because I think for a while, for me especially, because you were like, let's do it. And I was like, oh, I think in my mind I was building it up into, I was psyching myself out or something.
The perfectionist.
Yeah.
It was like, nope, it needs to be perfect before we take that step forward.
Yeah. And then just the fear of is anyone actually going to listen to this? Is anyone going to relate to this? And so I think there's always a million reasons in your own mind not to do something, but just taking the leap. And I think it really helps to do it with a friend. I think that's part of why it's also.
Oh, definitely. Definitely. I think because we are that we always click from day one. We click together and just so natural. It was just we would talk and nonstop and having that, I was in China alone. I didn't have that many friends around, and having you as my student and then as my friend talking and sharing and we had the same topics we wanted to talk about. So it's just wow, I can't believe it. And I haven't met you in person yet. Can you even believe that? Crazy.
Mentioned that before on the podcast. We still have never met in person.
I know there is a lot of people that would be like weirdos. How do you like each other that much? You don't even know each other in person.
Yeah, it is crazy though that we've done something long term together and has still never met in person. The goal, in case anyone is interested, is our dream is that this is going to be the year that I'm going to go to Australia, probably with my husband too, and finally get to meet Elena and her husband. And by then she'll have a baby boy. So get to meet all of them in person. So hopefully this is the year. And of course, if that happens, we will definitely be taking you all along for the journey via the podcast and maybe even some vlogging.
Definitely.
It's been truly a great year. And we're so thankful for you guys that have listened. It's crazy, which maybe we should jump into some stats.
Definitely, because it's a real, so many people listening and really engaging with us. I just love it. While having fun. It never felt as, oh, I have this responsibility of every week.
Yeah, and that that is part of, I think, what intimidated me to start with was oh man, we have to come up with stuff every week. But you know what? It kind of just has happened naturally. It's kind of just flows into each other. You think it's going to be harder than it is, or at least I did. I thought it was going to be harder than it has been, and the content has kind of just revealed itself as we've gone along. So hit us with some stats.
I have here the stats from my side because you take care of the website. So Hannah takes care more of the website of posting the episodes through Buzzsprout, which is the main hosting for the podcast, and I'm more in charge of posting through my YouTube. So I'm going to start with YouTube. Since February, when we started, since February up to today, we had 9.1 thousand views. So 9,100 views in just a year. That's insane. We had a 418.2 watch hours. So people actually spend 418 hours watching our videos.
Crazy. It's crazy. And I think that's one of the weird things about podcasting is sometimes you feel like you're just speaking into the void because you're not sitting in front of those people.
Exactly.
And
So much true.
it's like sometimes you can feel kind of weird, like, is anyone listening to this? I don't know. Like, we're just talking. But then you look at the stats and to hear that 418 hours have been spent listening to the podcast, it's so cool. It just makes everything worth it.
Yeah, it is pretty fun. Like, for instance, one of the top episodes that we have from YouTube, which is funny to see how different they are, the stats from my point of view versus your point of view, which we're going to see in a second. The top one in my YouTube is how to create an effective warm-up routine. Obviously, YouTube is creating more because my YouTube is more the physical part of it, where you come for training, where you come for stretching. The top episode is how to create an effective warm-up routine.
So on my side of things, which managing the audio part, which is we use a hosting site called Buzzsprout, which I highly recommend, by the way, if anyone is thinking of starting a podcast. Buzzsprout is great. And it's basically the hub that pushes the podcast out to like Apple Podcasts, Spotify, all those other platforms. So it collects all the data from all platforms, and we have 5,535 downloads over the last year, which is really cool. I should also look too, because it does tell us the breakdown of locations, and 55% of our audience is in North America, 33% is in Europe, 5% is in Oceania, which I believe that's Australia is considered part of that, 2% in Asia, 1% in Africa, and 1% in South America. So it's really fun because
Everywhere.
yeah, there's a little bit happening all over the place. So like we have 11 downloads in Istanbul, which I'm like, who knew? There's an adult dancer somewhere in Istanbul that listens to the podcast, which is awesome. And if you are that person, will you please send me
Let us know.
so cool? Like, I love that. That is, yeah, incredible. So yeah, it's fun. We just wanted to share that with you guys from like the stats perspective, just because it's, you know, obviously if you've been listening to the podcast and you're supporting it and supporting us, and it's just been a really cool year for us and successful. Like, I think it surpassed really what we even would have been happy with. Like, I would have been happy to do it even if it was much less, but it's so cool that it's
100%. But you remember when we used to wake up every Tuesday and be like, oh, we have 20 downloads. And we're like, yeah, it was like 20. But I think like the first episode, because obviously no one knew we were opening a podcast. We didn't know like even who is going to be interested in this. We could offer it to our friends on
Yeah.
the group classes, but it felt like a little bit like pushy. Like you got to listen to it. You got to write a comment and you got to like it because we need to grow.
Or like begging people, please listen to our podcast, please. It's so funny.
I need to say, like, I really want to say, hands up to our two husbands. They were our biggest supporters
Yes.
in every episode. They were the best.
So it's even to this day, a year later, my husband, because I go up on Monday morning, and whenever my husband always wakes up earlier than I do. And every time I wake up on Monday morning, my husband's in the office and he has our podcast playing on YouTube and he listens to every episode on Monday morning. So cute.
I love it. And then there is my husband on the other side of the world putting a comment like, oh, yeah, my tights were really tight too. I'm like, you don't wear tights. It's like, well, but I like the comments and I like the podcast. I wanted to feel involved.
Driving up our engagement. We appreciate that about our husbands, our ballet boyfriends.
Oh, so cute.
So let's talk about maybe our favorite episodes, because I think that would be fun for people to kind of know behind the scenes. You know, people maybe have listened and they have their favorite episode, but what was our favorite episodes to actually record? So do you have a favorite?
I think, oh my gosh, like I will say my favorite one, it was the do's and don'ts in ballet, like the etiquettes of ballet.
Yeah, that actually is funny because we didn't consult beforehand on what our favorites were, but that's on my top also, was doing, I think it was a 2-part episode on etiquette. And
yeah, we have so much to say.
Because there's a lot. But you know what's funny is I've also heard from people, like viewer feedback, that was one that people really appreciated, because there is so many unspoken rules in ballet that I think that one is an especially good one for beginner dancers, and like an especially helpful one for beginner dancers. And so it's fun because that one was a favorite to record, and I think it was also a really helpful one for people. And so that's kind of fun that people got so much out of that one.
Yeah. What about you? What about your favorite episode?
You know what? I think one
It's
of my
hard.
it is hard because there's been like over 50 at this point, but one of my favorites was having Janine Kovac on the podcast, who was the author of the Nutcracker Chronicles. And I think that one was just like a really fun, almost kind of like pinch me moment, because I remember when we got the email from her, I think it was her publicist, asking if we would like to have her on. And I'm such a nerdy book lover at heart that getting an email from someone about like, oh, we want to send you a copy of the book and then you can have the author on, I was just like, oh my God, is this actually happening? This is the type of thing that I would dream about happening, is getting like an advanced reader copy of a book and getting to interview an author.
And about ballet.
Yes, and then on top of that, Janine was so fun to talk to.
Oh, yeah, she was.
I mean, I think we both said, like, we could have talked to her, like, that episode could have been 4 hours long. Like, I could have just kept going with that conversation. She was so fun to talk to. The book was so great.
We talked to her after the episode for an extra hour with her.
Yes.
And I was just like, why didn't we record the rest of the conversation?
And we want to have her on again. I really want to have her on because she's written some other essays and things, and then just talk about other topics, because she just meshed so well with us and like our dynamic. And so that was a favorite for me. That was a highlight, having her on, and just getting to meet someone that I never would have met otherwise. Like the podcast was the catalyst for that whole thing happening. You know, it's like I never would have met Janine and got to have a conversation with her if we didn't have the podcast. And so I think that's been another really fun part of it, is that it's kind of opened doors for some really fun conversations with people. So
Yeah.
that one was special. So maybe now I think would be fun to kind of wrap it up, is to share a couple of viewer feedback quotes that we've received.
Oh, yeah. That's my favorite part of it.
Okay.
Definitely. Yeah.
Okay. I have 2. I don't know if you have any additional ones that I don't have, but there's a couple that we've received that are just so fun. So one of them said, I think this was a YouTube comment, and it said, I love this episode and it gives me strength to continue in ballet. I started doing ballet 5 years ago when I was 57 years old in adult ballet classes. Thank you very much for your episodes that helped me a lot. And that one was so special. I was like, oh my gosh,
so
like,
cute.
yes, she was 57 when she started, and that was 5 years ago. So now she's, 62, 63, and is doing adult ballet. And just the thought that the podcast was an encouragement to her was a really special piece of feedback. So was there another one that you had that you want to share?
Yeah, so there is another one they wrote us to the two of us again. I love your podcast. Thank you both so much. I never miss an episode, and I always feel at home and understood when I listen to you. That is just, oh gosh, I think that's why we do what we do, right?
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't matter if we get 100,000 downloads. No, that's not the aim of this. The aim is to influence someone else's life, being able to give someone that just feeling at home that you can relate.
Agree. I think that's like the thing that I would most hope for people to feel listening is, I know that doing ballet as an adult can be isolating, especially if you're someone who like doesn't have a studio and you're only doing it at home because maybe you live in a small town and there aren't any adult classes, and you're doing it because you love it, but you maybe feel like you don't have community in it, or even that maybe the people close to you are kind of like, why are you doing this? And I think my ultimate hope for the podcast is that when people listen, like the feedback that you read that says, I feel at home and I feel understood, I just want people to feel like they have 2 adult ballet friends that get it when they listen to our podcast. I think that's the best thing that I can hope for, is that people feel like they're not on this journey and trying to figure everything out by themselves, but that they have 2 other people that are in it with them and cheering them on.
Definitely. I had a class yesterday, private lesson, and as I'm going through the class, I actually never ask, where did you found my classes, or where did you heard about me teaching ballet? And she actually said, within the class, she said, oh, I remember that tip from the podcast. I was just like, oh, you listen to our podcast? Oh, thank you so much. And I was just like, oh, wow. I give a tip in my actual in-person class, and just like, oh, yeah, I heard about it on YouTube or the podcast. And it's so awesome.
Yeah, it is. It's really cool. And like, even I just remembered, I think it was maybe back in December, a listener who had emailed us with like a question about just navigating something that was going on in her studio and just asking for advice. And like, that was just so cool to me that she felt that she could do that, because I hope that people feel like they can reach out to us. So yeah, if you ever have any questions, like even if it's technique related, if it's whatever, like anything adult ballet related, it was super fun to have someone reach out and just ask for advice. And we were super happy to be able to do that. So it's just really gratifying.
Yeah. And by no means it's been easy. It hasn't been like the easiest year and anything like that. It's just, I don't know, we enjoy it. And because it's lots of hours of editing from your side, lots of hours of us planning to actually meet with the time difference.
Definitely requires work and discipline. And I feel like we're getting better about the planning part as we go. We were definitely flying by the seat of our pants there at the beginning, and we've dialed in a little bit more the planning aspect. But yeah, it's been so fun. Like, I don't think that we would have stuck it out this long.
An entire year.
Fun.
Can you believe it?
Yeah.
Lots of relationships don't last that long.
I know, we're still going strong. So we hope this was fun for you guys. I mean, mainly, I think the main thing we just want to say is thank you, because the reason we've continued doing it is because people have chosen to listen and to provide lovely feedback and encouragement, and that's really what's kept us going. And so thank you guys for all of your support, all of the kind comments on YouTube, social media, Instagram. Like, it's just been so fun. We are excited for another year to come. We are full steam ahead. We're still going. There's no plans to stop.
No, definitely. Even with me and my newborn baby coming up in exactly 1 month today. So it's exactly going to be, 17th of March. Well, hopefully it comes right on time. Not too late, not too early, just the time.
Yeah, and I mean, the plan is not to stop, because even
Exactly.
you guys know, like, we're doing extra recording early on to kind of carry through Elena's first month at least of having the baby. So we're just doing extra recording on the front end so that there's not an interruption in episodes being released. So we'll kind of be on a break in real life, but you guys won't know that, because the uploads are still going to come out every Monday. So
thank you so much, everyone. We are very excited this first anniversary, looking so much forward to the many years to come. I love it. And this year's gonna be exciting, between having my baby, having you over here at some point. It's gonna be exciting. Can't wait. Thank you, everyone. Hope you love the episode, and see you soon.
thanks, guys. Bye.
Thank you for listening to After Class.
Join the community on YouTube and Instagram, or come dance with us, our weekly Zoom classes for adult ballerinas like you.
Links included in the episode description. Special thank you to our sponsors.
See you next time after class. Podcast produced by Mission Bridge Media.